We built the Ultimate Gaming Machine. Well, the last Ultimate Gaming Machine. We're up to version 8.0 of UGM today, Wednesday. Or actually, today and Wednesday we're talking hardware. Thursday we're talking about peripherals, the monitors, the mice, the stuff you use that really impacts the way you work with the machine. Friday, we're going to finish it off this week. We're talking about tweaking the BIOS and tweaking the operating system settings, and then we're going to come back a week from today with our benchmarks. Should be good stuff. So today in part 1 of 6, we're taking a look at the case, the power, the cooling, the CPU, and the motherboard.
So this is the Ultimate Gaming Machine. You're telling me that the machine that you're putting together is the dream machine for anyone that's into gaming.
Well, this is our dream machine. We should point out, one of the things we've realized, like with the last UGM and this UGM, is basically once you figure out what the fastest processor out there is, right, and the fastest graphics card out there, pretty much you're done. If you take a look at the gaming systems, whether you're talking about somebody like Dell or somebody like a boutique company, what they're doing is basically it's like, okay, you're either like, the fastest Pentium 4 or the fastest Athlon 64, and then it's usually going to be a graphics card which will remain nameless until tomorrow, because that'll ruin the suspense, because nobody can guess what the fastest graphics card out there is, right? But once you've done that, a lot of times what determines the difference in performance is the quality of the drivers, the quality of the BIOS configuration, the quality of the operating system setup, and we wanted to take a look at a lot of the exterior elements of it. So we're going, it's a pretty straightforward, we went with well, put it this way, let me start talking about Athlon. The UGM 6.0 was an Athlon 2800 with a gigabyte of RAM. This time we're starting out actually with a Athlon 64 3400. It's the processor we've been having a lot of great luck with in the benchmarks lately. A lot of people are going to say, why didn't you go with the Pentium 4? It's because basically, outside of the Quake 3 benchmarks, we think this is the fastest processor out there you're going to get. It's shiny, isn't it, folks?
It's funny how many people are so diehard on the Intel, because I was trying to tell Dan, I'm like, Dan, look at the benchmarks. This thing is whipping everything out there, and he's like, I still want an Intel.
Well, some people like Intel because people are like, it's Intel, it's got to be more stable. It's Intel, it's got to be more better. One of the things Leo says is like, well, when they finish recompiling all the the software for the Intel processors, which may take a year or 2 years, it should take advantage of the processor pipeline and blah blah blah. The truth is, right now, for the games we have now, this is the fastest chip we're running into.
So we got the chip.
Motherboard MSI K18 Neo FIS2R. That just rolls right off the tongue, actually. And we're going to slide this down. That's a lovely motherboard box, isn't it, folks? If we pan the actually, I have to cover something up because one of the producers who's home. So we all say hello to our very own Joshua Brentano, who's producing this segment from home, who's in surgery last week. But we got to cover this up. So if I don't cover this up, he's going to be watching. So we don't want to reveal the graphics card until tomorrow. But take a look at inside of this. That's the case. The motherboard's actually buried there under some amazing water cooling stuff we'll talk about in a second. The beautiful shiny red motherboard back there. And here's the deal. Amongst the other cool stuff we can do with that is we can actually configure overclocking on that from within inside of our running Windows XP. So we're going to be able to overclock this. So that's how one of the things we're going to do to beat the performance of some of the other gaming systems. We're going to take advantage of overclocking and water cooling. Speaking of which.
So does this provide real-time overclocking with software, or is it you still have to go in the BIOS?
We'll show that later on in the week, man. Don't get too far ahead. Now, the case actually we're taking a look at here is a Cooler Master Wave Master TAC T01-E1. It's $150. Beautiful aluminum case.
That is a nice case.
Now check it out. Yoshi got a little modding going on here. Look at the top for our water cooling system. We have an amazing cooling system that he actually cut out and sunk right in there, so it's all inside of the system.
Nice.
Now we should talk a little bit more about that. Now Yoshi obviously did the customizing on this. Nice work, Yoshi. But do you see all this plumbing inside of here? We're going to show you a little bit more about that later on. But this is actually Danger Den sent us a care package. They sent us an amazing care package. They're making some beautiful, beautiful sinks. What's really cool about this is the RB64, we have a limited edition. You can barely see it under there on the processor. That is a solid silver heat sink.
Wow.
It's basically milled out of a solid chunk of silver, a silver ingot right underneath there. They actually save the scraps from that so they can send it back to the silver supplier to get more of them made out of them. Otherwise, you'd end up with like the most expensive dust in the planet. And what we actually have inside of here is basically we have cooled everything, the chipset, the processor, the graphics card. We basically have internal cooling. The drives are cooled. It's going to be amazing. If we can't overclock this, it's not going to be because of the ability to dissipate heat.
Now,
power supply.
The only problem I have with this, though, is, I mean, you can't tell me that eventually one of these is going to give loose or break out, and then you're going to have a case full of water. We probably have done the worst possible things you can do with water cooling system, which is to pull them apart and put them back together and pull them apart and put them back together and pull them apart and put them back together. We haven't had one leak inside the case yet. But if they do, it's all over.
Yeah, but you know what? The thing is it's like, the fittings on these are monstrous, and you know what? You can't really see it unless you really get in tight with a monitor. I don't think we can. Yoshi's safety wired all of them down.
Oh, nice.
So this is like racing motorcycle quality installation here. This is serious. Yeah, if any of these come loose, it's because somebody yanked on it or cut it. So it's going to take some effort. One last thing before we go, 400-watt power supply.
Yes, right here.
Zalman ZM400B. We were thinking about going with 500 watts, but the truth is 400 watts is more than enough for the drive configuration we're going to have in here. We're going to talk more about that tomorrow. Again, we want to thank Danger Den for an amazing setup. We should say it was about $450 for the cooling supplies in here, but that was $175 of that was for that silver heat sink. Normally that would be about $59.95. So dangerden.com. Got the list of products up. We're going to talk about more of this tomorrow. We're going to talk about drives, the graphics card.
This is going to be fast.
If it's not fast, it's not for lack of trying. Yes.